Hello everyone, nice to meet you here. My name is Donna. Today I want to teach you some basic knowledge about the blood circulation to let you understand how does the blood circulates around our body to maintain energy. And also I want to teach you what is blood pressure and how to keep a normal blood pressure range to stay healthy. Hopefully my little lecture could make you have a bit more understanding. And I will try to make the knowledge very simple. Now, before we talk about our blood circulation, let's think about the heart. Our heart is a very important body organ which continuously contracts throughout your whole life to pump blood and send the blood to every part of your body to supply oxygen and nutrients. That's our energy. So it is like the engine to the car. Remember, heart to the body is like engine to the car. Without engine, the car cannot drive. Okay, the car cannot be driven. Okay, without heart, the body has no life. And heart pumps out the blood just like the car needs the petrol. Okay, now the blood supplies the body with energy and petrol supplies energy to the car. It is the same. So blood is so important for the body. Without blood, the body have no life. There's no way to survive. And every body tissue, organs, your skin, your legs, your brains, your arms, your fingers, every part, every single point of your body needs the blood to maintain its normal activities. So we know that heart and blood circulation, heart maintains our blood circulation and heart pumps out blood and delivers blood through the arteries to rest of your bodies to give them energy, to give them oxygen and nutrients. Okay, but the body needs to always keep a good oxygen level. And where do the heart get oxygen? Where do the blood get oxygen? Now the blood receives oxygen from your lung. Your lung and your heart always work together. Okay. Now when you breathe in the air will then flow through your airway into your lung. Okay. And now we need oxygen. The air contains oxygen, so the lung will then retain those oxygen that we need, and then send the oxygen into the blood. Make the oxygen absorb into the blood. Okay. After the blood receives the oxygen from the lung, the blood will then carry the oxygen and then flow into left side of your heart. Okay, into left side of heart, and then from left side of your heart, the blood that carries rich oxygen will be sent into the artery, okay? And from the artery, it will then flow into every part of your life, up to your brain, to your shoulder, and down to your internal organs, to your legs. And after all the body tissues, organs now consumed all the oxygen, the blood will then turn into then we'll have low oxygen, okay, low oxygen level. And this blood with low oxygen will then flow into the vein, okay? And through the vein, it will be flow back into the right side of your heart, okay? From the right side of the heart to the right side of the heart. And then from the right side of the heart, the blood carries poor oxygen and then will then flow into your lung to receive oxygen from the lung. After it receives the fresh oxygen from the lung, it will then flow again to the left side of your heart, and then from left side of your heart will be sent through arteries and again to every part of your body. So we can know that this is a big circulation and continuously refresh oxygen in the blood and maintain the body always have good level of oxygen. So we know that the blood vessels now have two types. One is the artery and one is the vein. Artery carries the blood rich oxygen, and vein carries the blood with poor oxygen. Okay, so the blood with oxygen will be first sent into the artery to supply the body, and then the body will consume the oxygen, and then after the body used all the oxygen, the blood will have poor oxygen, and then this blood will then flow back through the vein back into the right side of your heart. Okay, so always remember, artery carries rich oxygen and vein carries low oxygen. Okay, now, so we know that heart and lung works continuously together to maintain good oxygen level always, and oxygen must be absorbed into the blood, and blood always carry oxygen. Now, one important component in the blood that carries oxygen is the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is like a protein, okay? It binds to oxygen, okay? It stays in the red blood cells and bind to oxygen, and then carry this oxygen to supply to the body tissues. So we know that red blood cell in the blood now carries oxygen, okay? And the one component that makes the red blood cell is the hemoglobin, and this component really combine to oxygen and then deliver the oxygen. Okay, so oxygen must be absorbed into the blood to be delivered to the body tissues. Now, what is the blood pressure then? Blood pressure is actually the pressure exerted by the blood onto the artery wall. So we know that heart pumps out blood through the artery. So when the heart squeezes out the blood will then exert a pressure onto the artery wall. Okay. Now this pressure we call it blood pressure. Now with blood pressure you have the top number and the bottom number. Top number we call the systolic blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure is when your heart starts to squeeze, to contract. Now when the heart starts to squeeze, now the blood will be pumped out, and then this pressure is high. Think of the water run in a pipe. When you turn on the tap, the water starts to run out with a big pressure. Now the water going to exert high pressure onto the pipe. Same with the blood. When the heart starts to squeeze, the blood will then exert high pressure onto the artery wall. Now this pressure is called the systolic blood pressure on the top. Now when the heart starts to relax, now the blood from the vein going to refill the heart. So when the heart relaxes, the blood pressure drops. In the artery, it drops down. So on the bottom of the blood pressure is this diastolic blood pressure. Okay, so always have a blood pressure, always have a top number and bottom number. Top one is systolic, bottom one is diastolic. Systolic blood pressure is when the heart starts to contract, and diastolic is the blood pressure is heart start to relax and refill. So always remember, systolic blood pressure on the top always higher than diastolic blood pressure. Okay, and what is the normal blood pressure range? Our normal blood pressure range, always remember, systolic should be maintained between 100 to 130. Okay, 100 to 130. For young people, it is always better for systolic blood pressure to be below 120. So for young people, it's better for blood pressure to maintain between 100 to 120 systolic. Now diastolic on the bottom, the blood pressure range should be between 60 to 90. So always remember this range, okay? Now again, systolic blood pressure range should be between 100 to 130, better between 100 to 120 for young people. Now diastolic blood pressure range is between 60 to 90. So high blood pressure, what do we call high blood pressure? High blood pressure is a blood pressure higher than 140 systolic and 90 diastolic. So we call it 140 over 90. If the blood pressure above 140 over 90, that is called hypertension, high blood pressure. If the blood pressure is below 100 over 60, this is called the hypotension, low blood pressure. Everyone have their own baseline. Baseline means their natural blood pressure, and everyone's baseline blood pressure is different, okay? So some people maybe they born with a bit high blood pressure, and some people they born with a bit low blood pressure. It also relates to the genetic factor as well. Now we don't want our blood pressure high, because hypertension can always have more risk than hypotension. Now hypertension, if the blood pressure is high, think of, because blood exerts pressure on the artery wall. So if this pressure is really high, now it can damage the blood vessel wall. If it continuously high, it always give, always like pose a pressure on the artery wall. It can really damage the artery wall and make the artery wall become weak, stiff, and damaged as well. So hypertension, high blood pressure is really risky. Especially, also, another thing is that the blood pressure actually increases with age. Okay, so when people get older, normally their blood pressure will increase. So normally young people have a bit lower blood pressure than older people. So when you actually getting older, you should really frequently monitor your blood pressure to make sure it's in the healthy range. Now, how to prevent high blood pressure? Important thing to remember is that if you want to prevent high blood pressure, you should maintain your weight. Okay, obesity always triggers high blood pressure. So always like maintain healthy weight, keep a good diet. Another thing is that restrict your salt intake. We know that salt, sodium. Okay, if you take in a lot of salty food, the salt could reabsorb the water, could increase your fluid level in your body and cause the fluid retention. Now, when the water level increase in your body, the blood volume also increase, and it could exert high pressure on your blood vessel wall and increase your blood pressure. So restrict your salt intake. Okay, keep a good diet, maintain your good healthy weight. Now, if you have really low blood pressure, now what causes low blood pressure normally? Now, low blood pressure could be caused by low blood volume. If you don't drink enough water, if you don't take enough fluid, now the blood pressure could drop. So always remember to maintain good hydration. When we say hydration, is always make sure you remember to drink water every day. Maintain 1.5 to 2 liters of water intake. That could help you to keep your blood pressure not too low. Okay, to avoid low blood pressure. So I hope this little lecture could help you to understand a little bit about blood circulation and blood pressure. Thank you.